required to make. This is the short one, which essentially means that we are SEBI registered. We are invested in the idea that we are presenting today, and our views are personal and biased. We'll try to explain the idea and the business in as detail as possible. In case you find some interest, we would like you to do your own due diligence and work before investing. The company that we'll try to cover today is part of an engineering segment, largely automotive, HVAC, and metal extrusion business. Now, before talking about the company, I usually like to give a background about what the company has done over the past decade, or what has been the history. And if you look at this company's history, it is one of the oldest tire valve manufacturers in the country, almost a 50-year-old company. It listed almost 20 years ago. Even after that, the market cap, even today, still stands at 550 crores. And if you look at the last 10-year history in terms of revenue CAGR, PAT CAGR, and the returns CAGR for the company, it has been in the range of 8-9%, very, very suboptimal. But the last 12-month EPS earnings growth has been 87%. Of course, if you look at the trailing 12 months PE, it is more than 100 times. And very unimpressive ROE and ROC as of date. And the company did a preferential round of 29 crores in March last year. Since then, which happened at close to, say, 1,700 rupees. Since then, the company has returned almost 170%. Now, more important is to see what do we think will happen going forward. So there are massive inflection points across the three business verticals that the company operates in. If you look at the earnings growth ahead, in terms of earnings growth, the CAGR could be close to, worst case 70-75%, best case 100-120% in terms of earning growth CAGR for the next 3 years. And they have capacity expansion lined up across their product lines. And I think the ROEs and ROCs, which are single digit today, these move towards 30% over the next 3 years. So the company that I'm talking about is Triton Valves. It is traditionally it has been a tire valve manufacturing company, and this is a 55% revenue business for them in terms of the overall revenue. This segment contributes close to 55%. These are small parts which we've seen while using our vehicles, whether it is two-wheelers or four-wheelers. The industry has slowly transitioned from tube, is now moving towards tubeless, but I think you'll see a phenomenal shift towards the TPMS valves. Now, let's look at what has happened in the business, or what is happening in the business currently, and what are the triggers for the company. Now, if you look at the company, it has close to 65% market share on the tube segment, but more than 90% market share in the tubeless segment. Currently, the capacity, as I mentioned, is close to 180 million, and this is a bread and butter segment growing at 5 to 10%. And as I said, the industry is moving from tube to TPMS, which is tire pressure sensing valves. Now, what happens is in the monitoring systems today, if you look at most of the SUVs or the higher-end vehicles, these valves that are put in, they have sensors within it. They have lithium batteries which last for years. These are highly engineered and critical equipments, and going forward, we believe large part of the industry will move towards TPMS, and these segments then contribute more than a traditional valve, which is, say, they manufacture it for 10 rupees, gets sold in the market for 30 rupees, but when we go to a mechanic, they'll sell it for 100 rupees. Now, these TPMS valves are, if you look at international markets, a single valve costs close to $8. That is the kind of value addition that is happening within their own segment. So as the company moves from tube to tubeless, the margins will move from, say, 5-7%, 10% to 25-30%. Now, what are the key business triggers for the next 2-3 years for the company? Now, the company never focused on the replacement market. Traditionally, when we have a flat tire, we go to a mechanic. Now, this is completely unorganized. They use valves which are not really valves with quality that your vehicle would require, but you anyways get it. So the company is now focusing on the after market or replacement market as it's called, and it's at an inflection point. They currently do only 10 to 12 crores of business from this segment, but this segment is growing at 35-40%. The second segment where they are putting in a lot of energy and engineering is the battery packs. Now, if you look at most of the two-wheeler EVs, you see the batteries which are much smaller versus a CV or a passenger vehicle, and these have these venting devices whenever there is an increase in the thermal charge of the battery. And these are again highly engineered venting valves. These valves are very different for CVs and PVs, so the company has at present focused on the two-wheeler valves, and their penetration within the two-wheelers, if you've seen the recent budget and most of the commentary that we've heard around the kind of consumption demand that it will drive and the multiplier effect that it will have, I think our sense is the two-wheeler market has largely bottomed out, and we'll see a steady surge over the next 5-6 years. We'll talk about that also going forward. So the TPMS journey. Now the reason we focus on the third segment of the valve, which is still a very small portion of their business, is that one of the world's largest and the most admired engineering company has given them a trial order, and this will increase multifold over the next 3 years. They're also in talks with, the company is not sharing for confidentiality reasons, but they're in talks with the global leader in sensors for whom they want to manufacture these TPMS valves. They're also running a primary program for the second largest player in the world for TPMS valves. On the battery pack side, if the best companies within the two-wheeler EV space like Ather or TVS or even Ola, there is no vehicle on road without a Triton valve in the machine. And the company is also in advanced talks with Exicom and Amaraja in terms of setting up these venting valves for their battery packs that they're going to manufacture. These are the clients, who's who. They cover almost the entire market. As I said, they have a giant market share within the automotive business. And so this is one segment of the business, which is today 55% of revenues. My sense is this will slowly move towards 35-40% as the other two businesses move ahead. Now, the second segment, Climatech. Now, this is, as of today, a 5% revenue business in terms of the contribution to the overall sales. Now, these are the valves that they manufacture. We call it the climate control business. This is largely into air conditioning, commercial or residential. If you look at, largely the company is manufacturing all these valves. If you look at a typical service valve, it is like a communication device between the indoor unit and the outdoor unit. So within this business, if you see, the overall market size today is close to 300 crores of valves that are used within the industry. 280 crores out of that is imported from China. The company, the balance 20 crores is what the company will do this year. So largely within India, they have almost the entire market share. And today they are running at say 1.5-2 crore run rate per month. But going forward, without putting any further capex, this can actually incrementally move towards 6 to 7 crores per month. And as they cater to this demand, with just 20-25 crores of additional capex, they can actually take this output to 20 crores per month, which will be close to 225-250 crores kind of revenue from this segment alone over the next 3 years. Now, one important point is 65 to 67% of the product by weight is brass. We will come to this point later, but this is very important to understand that 65 to 67% product is brass. Now, what are the key triggers for this particular segment? Now, again, various industry reports, and this would be whether external or internal. If you look at the HVAC segment, air conditioning segment, this is one segment which has been at an inflection point thanks to the reach of electricity that we've seen, thanks to the rising consumer needs, and with again the current budget coming into place, I think we see that multiplier effect in this industry as well. And the base case assumption for the industry growth for this particular piece is 14 to 15%. And I think one very important point that I'd like to speak on is the BIS. Now, from what I understand, Government of India is very clear that this 280 crores that comes from China, that has to be entirely indigenized. And this has to happen this year itself. There are talks that by March the notification will come in, and maybe by September, this will actually be in place. And so what happens then is there is only one player with all the set of norms and standards required to produce for this 300 crore segment. While they might not be able to scale it up, but chances are that over the next 3 years, from a 2-3% market share today, this will move upwards of 50% of the entire industry. And if you look at the localization effort, today Voltas, the #1 player in the country, the market leader, if you look at their business today on the AC side, the reason they have been losing market share is that one company, even after 40 years, did not build the local network in terms of the local suppliers for these critical parts. Havells had the similar issue. But today, Havells and LG or Voltas are not their top clients. Today, if you look at Voltas, LG and Daikin will become top 3 over the next 3 years, because they have now started talks with them. They now started running a program with these 3 large players. Today, Havells, Samsung and Carrier are the top 3, but my sense is the largest players within the industry will be the clients. And no, as I said, no other player has the capability to produce in terms of the BIS standards. No, there's no second player in the industry. And as of last year, the PBT from this segment was negative because a lot of capex was put in within this segment. This moves towards 20-25% margins by FY27, where I said, the worst case market share that these guys will stand to gain is 50%. And as I said, the overall market will move from, when I said 300 crores market, it is just the service valves. There are a lot of other valves that goes, within this entire HVAC systems. And that market will reach towards 750 crores. Of that, these guys will have a giant market share. Now, what does the BIS do? They create the quality component, or what is the amount of percentage of brass that you need to have within this component. So they'll have a lot of these components and standards which the Chinese players as of today are not matching. And usually it's a game of stalling. Most of these Chinese players will apply for getting enrolled on the BIS norms, but Indian government bureaucracy has to go to China, visit their plants, approve that plant. I think that will take forever. The government is very clear. Entire segment of 300 crores and 750 crores 4 years hence needs to be manufactured locally. Again, these are the top clients. Another important piece is the export part. The third largest player in US, Lennox, is one of their critical clients today. The top 2, the #1 is Carrier there. They have approached the company where they have now started doing trials for them. So again, these 2 larger clients of the world's largest 2 players gets added to the list. I think the margins and the profiles in terms of revenue growth will change dramatically. Now the third, I'll just go back one more slide. Again, in Climatech, as I mentioned in the first segment, the automotive, within Climatech also 65 to 67% product is brass. Now let's come to understand the future tech business. Now what is this business? So it's basically a metal brass plant, a metal extrusion. And they run a 8,500 metric ton capacity. There are hardly 2 or 3 players in the country today who run a brass metal extrusion capacity of this size. Largely, there are a lot of small players doing 500 tons per month, but at a single source, doing 8,500 tons plus, which is now going to double over the next 12 to 18 months. I think they become by far the largest company who's doing brass extrusion. Now, why this is important? As I said, 65 to 67% of the company's products that it's manufactured by weight is brass. By adding this piece, what happens is, if you see this slide here, apart from meeting their current local demand, so say 40% is captive demand, but they have already providing companies like Ballhoff and Titan Industries a lot of defense and aerospace companies which they are now started providing supplies to. So these are the industries where all of these parts that they are manufacturing and where brass is needed, they are supplying to as of today. So coming back here, if you look what are the key triggers for the business for the next 2 years, now copper alloys and the high value added products that they are manufacturing have been in a great demand over the last 2 to 3 years. As I mentioned, if you look at their plant, state of the art plant, no one has this tech and the plant within India, and very few globally also with this kind of precision. And again, in all the three themes, diversification in terms of, for them to move to export markets and a lot of global players moving away from China becomes a dominant theme. Now, again, the kind of operating leverage that this business offers, just by investing close to, say, 35 crores, these guys can actually generate a revenue of 700 crores. And the realization has to just move from 600 to 650 for them to change the ROC of the entire company from, say, 10% today to 30 to 40% over the next 3 years. And the beauty of the business is earlier when Climatech, the AC business or the climate control business, when it was small, any global fluctuation within the copper prices used to impact the business a lot. Today, as Climatech grows from 20 crores to 70 crores, this piece provides a natural hedge to the entire business, which we have already seen last quarter and we'll see this quarter as well. So I'll try to summarize the entire business in this one slide. What are, we are, I think, at the cusp of earnings explosion within the company. It is building two very important verticals, of course, automotive, where I said TPMS will be a game changer for the company. The HVAC business, the air conditioning business, which we are also very bullish on for the next 5 to 7 years at least. That is another vertical where they are scaling up dramatically. And lastly, the backward integration part, when I talk about the brass mills, is a very critical raw material, and this is somewhere that they have positioned themselves beautifully. I also mentioned a lot of clients which are not there on the table today, but they are now running a program for industry leaders across the world. This will slowly become, each of these clients will start delivering 35 to 50 crores of revenue from FY26 or FY27. BIS, as I mentioned, will create a monopoly or a oligopolistic kind of situation within the industry. And because of these three segments which scale up so beautifully, I think we'll see a huge operating leverage that will come into the business. Of course, execution is the key, but if you look at the history of the promoters, I think, and if you get a chance to go and visit the plant, you'll realize the kind of engineering, in terms of the quality, plus the skill that these guys have to manufacture and build these businesses. So I'll basically take you to 3 industry slides, which basically vindicates what we are trying to say, that this is from the recent DRHP of Aether, where they said that from FY24 to FY31, for the next 5-6 years, we'll see a 44% kind of CAGR for the two-wheeler EV industry, where these guys have a giant market share. And incrementally, if this grows by 44 or 42%, this segment for Triton will grow far higher as it takes more market share. Then, of course, this is a standard report. This is part of the company slide as well, where they are, as per industry reports, AC sales estimates growth CAGR would be close to 15% for the next 5 years. This is one article that we came across where, this is the head of Panasonic, who's saying how the success of PLI schemes today has helped a lot of AC component companies, and I think this is only going to get more aggressive from the government, as I said, on the BIS side. So this is a fundraise that I spoke about. They did close to 29 crores of fundraise. We were one of the investors there as well. So this is largely their numbers that have been over the past 4 years, and might not seem impressive, and which we mentioned also what the last 10-year record has been. But what is important is that over the next 3 years, the 428 crores revenue can grow towards 1,000 crores. The PAT can potentially go up 6 times. And if you look at, the resulting returns within this range for our expectation in terms of, how the market perceives it once it goes onto the growth path with changing ROE and ROCs, the return CAGR also could be substantially meaningful. Now, this is something that the company's numbers could look like. There's a little error on the slide in terms of future tech and climate tech that is reversed. But largely, this is how the two segments grow. The automotive part, which has grown forever for say 5 to 10%, this grows at 15 to 20%. The future tech business, of course, will scale up from 255 to 750, and climate tech will move from 20 to, I've written 150, but my sense is if BIS standards, which they should be implemented this year, this 150 could be 200 or 250 as well. So this is what the numbers could grow from, say, 16 crores this year in terms of profitability to close to 70 crores at a base case estimate in the next 3 years. What multiple market gives is anyone's guess, but my sense is that even on a trailing basis, if you give it a 30 multiple, because again, this is not a commodity company anymore, it's an engineering company, I think we'll see a significant return potential over the next 5 to 7 years. So these are the risks. It's a small cap company. The volumes are low. Promoter holding today stands at 46%. Post conversion of warrants, this will move above 47%. And of course, the risks, the three key risks are execution, working capital, the financing piece, because they are scaling up so fast, they'll have to keep up with the working capital and the financing part. And automotive has been a cyclical industry, and we are hoping that it bottoms out over the next 4 to 6 quarters. But these three risks remain. So that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Piyush bhai. We will just have one question if someone wants to ask. Yeah, over there. And very quick question and quick response.
Hi, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you for such an insightful session. Sir, can you just give a brief idea about the peers also? Like who are all there and what is their market share when compared to this company, and some lights on the valuation as well of this company?
So valuation, of course, it's today it's 550 crores. It will do 16 crores of PAT this year, so you can figure out the valuation for say FY25. In terms of peers, as I said, they have a giant share. Rest, all the players are very, very localized. It's a highly fragmented industry. On organized side, these guys will be the largest. There's no other player which is close to them. It's a highly fragmented industry otherwise. Within tubeless and TPMS, in fact, within TPMS, there's no other player in India. Within tubeless also, I think there'll be 2 others, but they are extremely small, and rest is again, very marginalized, or, most of these larger companies import.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. તો બટન દબાવવાનું છે પિયુષ ભાઈ.
Please do your due diligence before dabbing the button. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Shri Piyush Mehta, for sharing your insights with us. We would like to call upon Shri Vallabh Bhai to felicitate him. We will give him a big round of applause.